What you think about, what you put your energy towards, what you focus on is what you create in your life. And so one of the biggest rules of manifestation, believe it or not, is number one, you have to ask.
Welcome to the Badass Manifester podcast, keeping you inspired with high vibe content, bringing you the best manifestation and mindset tools, teachings, interviews, and answering questions to help empower you to get out of your own way and take massive action to make magic your everyday normal. I'm your host, Ashley Gordon, spiritual life and manifestation coach, helping women and spiritual entrepreneurs manifest more impact, influence, and income. It is my purpose and pleasure to help you wake up to the badass creator that you are. Let's do this.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be live tonight and talk about this topic. This is super inspired from a client session and something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. And if you are brand new to my Instagram or my Facebook, my name's Ashley Gordon. I am a spiritual life and manifestation coach, and it is my mission to help spiritual entrepreneurs get out of their own way to really make the impact that they want to make in the world. And, you know, there's a lot that spiritual entrepreneurs set out to do and a lot of impact that they want to accomplish. And sometimes we get caught up in our own heads and we get lost. And we forget why we started in the first place, right? And so it is my job to work with people to really help them make the impact that they want to make and really access their full self-expression as they're doing that. And so that's a little bit about what I do. So I'm just going to share this video into a group. If you're not in Manifestation Nation on Facebook, our private Facebook community where I talk all the time about subjects like this, and I share a lot of free content there. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the topic tonight. 4 tips on how to confidently make the ask for what you want in life. Okay, how many people, by a show of your emoji hands, have trouble making the ask for what you want in life? Like being assertive and speaking up and saying how you really feel at moments. Who has trouble with that? Raise your hand if you're like, I kind of have a hard time asking for things that I want, because I'm sure you're not alone. So how valuable would it be for you if I gave you 4 tips to help you confidently make the ask for the things that you want in your life? And how good will it feel to be able to be that brave version of yourself, right? And be that big, bold expression that you know that you came here to be, right? And ask for the things that you want, the things that you need. So one of the biggest rules of manifestation, and if you're new to manifestation, if you're new to tuning in here, basically what you think about, what you put your energy towards, what you focus on is what you create in your life. And so one of the biggest rules of manifestation, believe it or not, is number one, you have to ask. You have to ask for the things that you want, right? The universe can't ask for you. No one in your life can ask for you. You have to ask for the things that you want in your life. And if you're not asking, then you're not receiving. Because the rule is ask and you shall receive. That's in Bible scriptures. That is the universal law. Ask and you shall receive. And so if you are in desire of something in your life and you're not getting it, then you're not asking for what you want, okay? And so I did a whole podcast on how to ask the universe for help. Tonight's topic is really about learning how to ask for help from the universe, but more importantly, learning how to ask for help from the people in your life, from the opportunities that are presented to you in your life, right? The people in your life are sent to you from the universe. The clients in your life are sent to you from the universe. The family members are sent to you by the universe. Your friends, like people in your life, okay? So they are the universe too, right? And so I feel like sometimes the ask gets skipped. We forget about it. We get stuck in the idea that we have to like muscle through everything on our own, that we have to try and control things, that we have the power to do it all by ourselves. And although we're really powerful beings, you know, by not asking for the help that we need, we get stuck in literally exhausting ourselves by not asking people in our life for help. Okay? And it can be like big and small things. For me, I'm naturally an assertive person, and to say like I like to say how I feel. It's helped me in my relationships. It's helped me in making things happen, which I'll share a little bit. And so, you know, maybe it's because I'm extroverted. I don't know, but I know that when I used to go to dinner with my mom when I was little, or breakfast or whatever we got to eat, I would literally cringe at times, like being at dinner with her and kind of having her like send food back or like things like that. I would like want to run away and hide. And subconsciously, she was teaching me a really important lesson, right? And I think the lesson was, you know, back then I felt embarrassed by it. But the lesson was, in hindsight, she was teaching me a super valuable lesson to speak up for what I want and what I need, even if I didn't agree with it at times, right? Even if I thought that it was like crazy. She was teaching me how to speak up, and that it's okay to speak up, and that it's safe, right? That it's safe to be assertive, and it's safe to speak up in your life. Ask and you shall receive, right? And the truth of the matter is, you guys, is if you're not asking, you won't know. You will never know. You'll never know, right? It's true. So, you know, how to be brave in your life. What would be possible for you if you started asking? Like, I know that I created so many opportunities in my life just by being willing to ask for what I want. And my best friend Nola, she jokes around with me and she says, I wear like a WWAD bracelet on. Like, what would Ashley do? Because in certain situations, she feels like she needs to channel that energy of like standing up and speaking up and asking for what she needs. And so this showed up for me like when I met my husband, right? Like I have a whole podcast episode on that too. Listen to it. But what happened was I literally, I saw him. I was, you know, I felt called to know this person. I felt called to reach out to him. And so I was scared, but I reached out to him. I asked for what I wanted. And so I took the step because I realized that, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? And, you know, when I started dating him, I remember like 2 months into our relationship, he was going to see his little nephews in Boston, and his mom and his sister were going. And I don't know why, but I felt the need to ask. I was like, can I go with you on this trip? We were dating for 2 months. It's like, looking back, I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? But it was actually a great trip. It was a great way to get to know his family, and it was just a really, really fun time. And so it was meant for all of us to be there together. But I was ballsy. Like, I just went for it. I was like, hey, can I go with you? Like, dating for 2 months. Okay. But I just asked for it, and it actually created a lot of connection, which was cool. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't just say what I wanted, right? Another thing that happened, so many things have happened. Almost all the opportunities have come in by asking for them. But another one I'll share with you is I remember being in the gym one day. This was years and years ago. And this guy was in there, and he had this like great energy, and he was talking to some people, and he was like, yeah, I have these clothing samples. He's like, I'm a rep for Hurley. I have all these Hurley clothing samples in my garage. He was like telling these people to come by and look at his clothing samples that he was trying to get rid of. And I overheard this conversation. I didn't know this guy. And I literally went up to him afterwards, just like balls to the wall. And I was like, hey, can I come over and look at your Hurley samples too? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Come over. And that summer, I literally went to his house. I got a whole freaking wardrobe for free. My dog's like, yes. Harley, shh. We had this talk. He's going to be quiet while I'm going live. So, I mean, that all happened just because I overheard a conversation and I went up to them and I asked if I could go check out the clothes. So the point is, how do you get to that point where you feel brave enough to ask for the things that you want and what you need, right? How do you feel brave enough to ask for the raise that you want? Like, what are you not asking for in your life that you know that you want? And I feel like this is a really important channel to look through to see where you're creating ease in your life and where you're creating hardship for yourself and challenge. Like, it can be really hard sometimes, or we can make it really easy. And think about the areas of your life where you know that there's more, but you're cutting yourself off of possibility. And we do that, you guys. We cut ourselves off of possibility for whatever freaking reason, but mostly because we believe we're not good enough. Mostly because we believe that it won't happen, right? And so the number one tip that I have for you is to take responsibility for what you want. You have to take responsibility for what you want. You have to take responsibility. And so this is like a silly example, but I ask this a lot to some of my clients and some of my close friends. When you get a meal at a restaurant and you don't like it, do you send it back, right? Even if you don't like it, even if it's fine, but you don't like it, do you send it back? And I feel like that's a really interesting indicator to know whether or not you are, taking responsibility for what you want and what you need. It's like, sounds so simple, like so silly almost, but if I'm not happy at a restaurant, if I don't like something, I will speak up for it. Like, I will, because there's no reason for me not to, right? This is where we need to let go. Taking responsibility for what we need is where we need to let go of all the reasons why we can't ask for what we want. All of our excuses are coming from a place of not feeling good enough or thinking that we're lacking something, right? And honestly, it's no one else's responsibility to get for you what you want. It's no one else's responsibility. So you have to stop assuming that, your loved one knows what you want or need, because they don't. You have to take responsibility for that. You have to stop assuming that your boss is going to eventually recognize you. You have to stop assuming that it's going to be, that it's coming, right? That you have to ask for it, okay? Like, you have to put yourself out there and just go for it. And if you don't feel seen and if you don't feel heard, you have to make sure that you're taking responsibility to be heard. You have to make sure that you're getting in front of the right people to be seen, okay? And an example that I wanted to share with that is my friend. He lives in New York. He is an awesome person. He helps me a lot with the podcast, Brett. He just had an incredible opportunity to audition for Flywheel. He's like an amazing spin instructor. He loves fitness. He's a super active, high energy dude. And he had an opportunity to, he had this desire before he had the opportunity. He had this desire for more, right? And he wanted to teach more spin. And so he put it out there. He asked for it. And then the opportunity arose where he could audition for Flywheel. And so he took the opportunity and he took responsibility for being seen. And it makes logical sense that those events would take place in that order, but you wouldn't believe how many people tell me that they want more opportunity in their life, but they don't do what it takes to actually be seen and heard. Like, you have to show up. So the universe wants you to ask for what you want, and then you better believe you're going to get inspired action. You're going to have opportunities come your way, but you have to take the inspired action to actually do it, okay? And so that's tip number 1. Take responsibility for what you want, okay? Tip number 2, stop freaking assuming. Stop assuming that you know how it's going to be or how it's going to turn out. Stop assuming. This is where we cut off so much possibility for ourselves. We cut off so much by thinking that we already know how it's going to be, okay? We already know what that person's going to say. We already know what our boss is going to say. We already know what blah, blah, blah. We don't freaking know unless you ask. You can cut yourself off from major, major, major abundance by assuming that you already know how it's going to be. And I talk about assumption a lot in a lot of my podcasts. I talk about it a lot in, on live video, because it's a huge part of manifesting, because you can assume in direction of what you want. Like, you can assume that it was good in the past, so it's going to be good in the future, or you can assume because it was bad in the past, it's going to be bad in the future. So it can work for you and against you. Does that make sense? So you want to stop assuming when it comes to asking for what you want. You just got to go balls to the wall and go all in with it, okay? And number 3, this is a good one. Come from a place of knowing that you have nothing to lose, because you don't. You have nothing to lose by asking. So this is like where my confidence comes in a lot of the time. Like when I went after my husband Todd, right? When I wanted to meet him, when I wanted to know him, when I wanted to like manifest him, I just went for it from a place of I literally have nothing to lose. I'm gonna go back and answer your questions and read your comments in a minute. I have nothing to lose. So I always ask myself a couple series of questions, all right? Number 1, why the fuck not? Okay, excuse my language, but why the fuck not? Okay? Number 2, who cares? Who cares? Just do it, right? Number 3, so what? So what? Love that question. And then number 4, what is the worst thing that could happen to you? What is the worst thing that could happen? They say no. The worst thing that could happen, someone says no. The worst thing that could happen, somebody rejects you. That's a whole nother thing, right? Rejection is just a portal for something brand new. It's a portal for what's not for you, right? So what's the worst thing that could happen? And then the 5th question I ask myself is, if not you, then who? Why not you? Why not you? If it's not going to be you, it's going to be someone else. So why not you? And then my 4th tip for how to confidently make the ask for what you want is to visualize your success beforehand, okay? In the moment, so sometimes asking for what you want will happen spontaneously, and it'll just happen. And you won't have time to visualize your success because you're just so confident that you can just go for it, because why the F not, right? But if you do have time and you're preparing to ask for something, take the time to visualize another manifestation step. And if you need help with visualization, I have a whole podcast episode on it, so go find it. Visualize your success beforehand. So I want you to really, this is like where you call on the strength of your angels. You call on the strength of your guides, of the universal forces and powers that are here to work with you. You're co-creating with these energies, with these forces. So use them to your benefit, because why not, right? Like, we're here for this. And so I always ask when I'm visualizing the person that I'm asking to say yes to something that I want, I always ask those universal forces for the outcome to be for the highest good for all involved. So you always want to ask that the outcome be for the highest good of all involved. And that is really, really helpful. When you visualize it, you see it, you're getting into that feeling of what you want, you're seeing it, you're feeling it, and then you see the outcome already happen. So you can act and ask from the place of already assuming the yes. And I didn't put a 5th tip, but if I did have a 5th tip, it would be to already assume in the positive direction. Like, just assume that it's going to be a yes, And I know that sometimes it can be scary. It can be scary to go after things that you want. It can be scary to put yourself out there. And it can be intimidating at times. But I promise you, I've never been disappointed from going after something that I wanted. I've never been disappointed from following my excitement. And when you are asking, make sure that everything that you're putting out there, everything that you're asking is in integrity with you, right? You know why you're asking for it. You know why you want to make the ask. You know why you want to conjure up this confidence. And you want to do it from a place of full integrity and alignment with what you're all about, right? And if you have full integrity and you're aligned with this, going for it, this asking, then it really is inevitable. Ask and you shall receive. Ask and you shall receive. Okay? That's what I have for you guys tonight. I want to go back and just read some of these comments and questions from Facebook. Angela said, I've asked for and received things recently, but then begin to doubt myself and think it's just happening by coincidence. Tips on getting past this. Awesome. Yeah. This live tonight's more about how to ask and be assertive with the people in your life, with the things that you want. As far as like asking for things from the universe, I feel like that is such a great question, because you're going to ask and things are going to happen, and then you're going to brush it off to coincidence. But truly, there is no coincidence. Truly, spirituality is all there is. And so the way the universe works, law of attraction, like energy attracts like energy, what you're pulling in is no coincidence at all. And so if you're asking for it and things are happening, even if it is by coincidence and you're getting what you want, then hey, works for me. You know, you can call it coincidence, or you can just know that that's just the way that the universe works. Like, it's literally the way that it works. It's literally the way that it is. We make the ask to the universe for something that we want or what we need. So let's just say you're asking for abundance, and then someone in your life appears and they have an opportunity for you. And you're like, nah, I'm good. Well, the universe is like, hey, that's your abundance. I sent that person to you for a reason. That's why you have to get out of your own way, like to confidently ask for the things that you want in your life. Because the universe will meet you halfway, right? Always will meet you halfway. Co-creatorship, right? It's always there for you. It's your teammate. The universe wants what you want. It will always meet you halfway. And when it does meet you halfway, don't like shun it. Don't like tell it you're good. That's like the man who like was in the shipwreck or something, and he was in the ocean, and he was like, God's coming to get me. God's coming to get me. And then like this big boat comes by, and the boat's like, hey dude, like come on, like we're gonna rescue you. And he's like, no, God's coming to get me. I'm good. And then the boat goes away, and then a helicopter comes, and the helicopter's like, you gotta get out of the ocean. Like, come on, I'm gonna rescue you. And he's like, nope, God's got me. I'm good. And then another boat comes by, and he rejects it again, and then all of a sudden the man dies, and he goes to heaven, and he's like, God, what is up? Like, I thought you were coming to rescue me. And God's like, I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter, I sent you another boat. I did come and rescue you. And so we have these people in our lives for a reason, to help us generate the life that we truly want to live. We're all here to help each other. We're all here to guide each other home. We're all here to uplift each other in that way. And like I said, we're so caught up in our own head and our own insecurities and our own doubts that we miss it. Like, we completely miss it when it's right in front of our face. And so I'll ask you, and I'll end tonight's live by asking you, like, what are you not seeing that's right in front of your face? What are you not seeing that's right in front of your face that you need to reach out and get? So you need to literally reach out, ask for what you want, confidently move in the direction of your dreams. Like the quote, like legit, that's what it means. Confidently move in the direction of your dreams. Thank you guys so much for joining in tonight. And if you have any questions about coaching, I have some programs coming up. I'm going to be launching a Badass Manifest Abundance for 2019 Masterclass coming up right at the new year. I have a lot of cool things to offer you for free too. I have a freebie library on my website. If you go to manifestwithash.com, I have a free resource library for all your manifesting needs. So I have a lot of resources for you. It really is my mission to help you wake up to the creator that you are, and just to really take the lid off of your potential and just create your life the way you want it, create it on purpose. So thank you guys, and have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for listening to the Badass Manifester podcast. I love manifesting Mondays with you, and there's so much more in store right here. The best way to manifest love is to give love. If you loved what you heard today, subscribe to the Badass Manifester podcast. Leave a review on iTunes. Let me know how much you dig the energy here. All of my social is linked up in the show notes, so screenshot this episode, tag me on Instagram, and let me be part of your real-time journey.
For more info on me, feel free to go to my website, manifestwithash.com. Repeat after me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. Go get 'em.